We're live. Welcome, everybody. Hey, you guys. Kirk Williams here. Live Inspired today. We are on episode 10. Thank you guys for being a part of this growing platform. You guys, I am growing up in front of your eyes with this thing. I'm trying to figure it out. And excuse me, I'm using different language. I'm not trying, I am doing, and, practice makes perfect, not perfect, but it makes getting better. So I'm getting better at this whole thing. But I'm truly excited that you guys are a part of this and you're here with me. And I've been doing this for the past 10 sessions, and this is number 10 right here. And what a phenomenal individual person that I have with me today. It is Dr. Malaika Turner, good friend from IUP, Indiana, Pennsylvania. For those on the West Coast that may not know it, I know I didn't know it when I went to school there. But she is the host of Pivot Podcast, which focuses on conversations with women who share their pivot experience. And the conversations that she has are real and encouraging. They challenge listeners to make turns in their life when necessary. She's a contributing writer for More Magazine, founder of The Speaker. We'll learn more about that here today, and author of Walking in Step with God on Purpose. She's excited about her current project, where she is one of 100 plus women serving as a contributing author in an anthology titled Love Letters to My Girls. I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit about that as well, because I have girls, my wife and my daughters. I'm looking forward about that as well. She's married to Theo Turner. My boys love Theo, and the mother of two young men, Malika and Karee. Malika recognized that her purpose is born to motivate others. You know I like that, but specifically women. So with that said, please help me welcome to the main stage, Dr. Malaika Turner. Doctor, welcome for being here and joining us on the main stage.
Yay, thank you so much for having me, Kirk. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited for your show. I love this.
Well, hey, you know what? I love the fact that we've done some life together over the past 20-something years, right? Me being at IUP and you're there. But, this is also just really an inspiration. And if I can just be blunt and just say it right out front, you have inspired me to start doing podcasts, to start doing this show, to start doing these different things by watching you and your Pivot podcast. So thank you for striving and doing what you're doing, because it really inspired and motivated and helped me decide to launch this platform. So thank you for what you do.
Wow, you are welcome. And I'm glad that you're doing it. When I saw it, I was like, oh, Kirk, okay. I was like, yes, it's so positive, I think, and important to get the words out there, encouragement and motivation. So I love it.
Oh, that's really cool. So thank you again for that. And you've been doing some great things. I know that you're in higher education. So when we were at IUP together, you were involved in student affairs, and you've been growing in that. What motivated you, or how did you get into that particular field? And you're from Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes, I'm from outside of Philadelphia, near the King of Prussia area. Folks are familiar with that. So really, I'm from Norristown.
Okay. And how did you get involved into in student affairs or college life? And how did it kind of transition into, well, you're still there, but you're transitioning a little bit into more of a motivational, inspirational space? How did you jump from that to what you're currently doing with Pivot Podcast and being an author and everything?
You know what? So here's the deal. I majored in communications media at IUP. So as a student with communication media major, but because of fear, I would not into TV or radio. And then I was introduced to radio. I was introduced to radio by a professor who actually ended up being one of my she actually was my dissertation chair years later. And she introduced me to radio, this radio class, and really I enjoyed it. And I've always been, what a lot of people don't know, is kind of quirky in that I like to do voices. So I like to do different kinds of voices, and just silly and so creative in that way. And so I loved radio, did that for a little while with the class, realized my love for it, continued on in media, but moved towards training and development. Didn't want to do TV, didn't think I was too afraid I wasn't going to make it. Same with radio. I was like, is there money in radio? So I went into training and development instead.
Okay.
Um, Transitioning to student affairs was just made a decision to stay in Indiana, and as you know, no one makes a decision to stay there unless and a plan. Okay,
You are absolutely 100%
right?
right about that one.
Okay, you go to IUP and then you leave IUP, right? And so I ended up staying for a while, and I got a job as a residence director, and that really was the start of my student affairs career path. So I went from being a residence director. I worked on our regional campus in Punxsutawney, did some ministry there, some work there for a while. My husband worked there for a good while, and so we were able to start programs, do things there. Came back to our Indiana campus, and just God opened doors and just promoted to where I am today. But I've always been motivation has always been a part of me, right?
Okay.
So always. So the radio piece, that's there, waiting for doors to open. But I've always speaker, wanting to do something. It just naturally comes out of me to create programs or things that allow me to do some presentation and programs for women. So that was really, I think, that's really where it all started for me. So I've always had this, my day job and my passion job, right? My day job, my 9 to 5, and what I do, and somehow the two were able to marry. I've done programs with women on campus. I've been a presenter at some of the women's programs there on campus. So yeah, that's kind of how it grew.
Very cool. Very cool. I was looking at your website and everything, and I came across this statement or this belief that you put on here. I want to read this, then I want to get your response. It says,
Uh oh,
it's not,
it's
it's
been a
not
while.
like but it says belief is that every person should discover, write down, and then do what it is they are born to do. How
Yes.
did you discover this for yourself? So, belief is that every person should discover, write down, and then do what it is they are born to do. How did you come up with that? How did that come out of you? And how did you do that?
So there's no easy answer to that question, but I will share with you some thoughts that come to mind immediately. One is always been interested in purpose, wanting to know like why are you here? What are you that for years, right? Because to be honest with you, I'll be 100 on the main stage.
Yes.
It needs to be updated, but that still is my theme. So that's been a while, right? But I believe that everyone needs to know why they are here. That
Sure.
is important. If you go back to my Instagram page, from the time I started, I've had so many different um, initiatives and messages that centered around purpose.
Sure.
And I really believe that once you should be seeking after that. And for me, the only source of purpose for me, and I believe, is God. So that's I believe that you need to go to God and you need to ask, and then really begin to see like what are some of the things that you do. Let
Hmm.
me tell you a secret. It's 2020. Like I told you, I've been sharing that message for a long time. It's 2020, and we had um, a kind of a sit down Zoom meeting with some women at our church. Our pastor's wife was there, and we were talking. We were talking about purpose, and I created something called Purposeful Conversations. It's on YouTube, and it was a group of women sitting around, kind of talking about our purpose and how that relates to what God wants us to do. And
Sure.
it kind of came out at that time that a lot of times purpose is something that it shows up naturally in what you do. It's
Mm.
not like some big thing, this cloud is going to part the sky, and all of a sudden purpose jumps down out and says, this is what you're meant to be, right?
Right.
Now, can I open the door for my son who didn't take his key out? Do you mind?
No, of course not.
Sorry. This is
No, hey, we're on the main stage and we are live. This is what we do. This is life, and we are okay. So, but I want everybody that's watching, look at this is just what life is, and it's
what life really is. I'm sorry.
no. Don't be sorry because I want everyone to understand. You know what? This is how the world works now. This is what we do, and it's
Right.
okay to live life and to do life. And if the sun, I mean,
Naturally.
what you gotta do? It's natural.
Right.
What we do.
Because I started to let him stand out there for a little while. But anyway.
Let the boy
Um,
in.
but the idea that the revelation that I got was that it shows up naturally in what you do. So then I started thinking, what am I born to do? What am I born to do? Motivate. I have totally discovered that. And I wrote that down. I've been writing some things down, but when I look at that, it's like I'm born to motivate. And then you write down, where does that show up at?
Mm.
That shows up on my job when I'm talking one-on-one with students. That shows up when I'm with my kids, right? I don't change. That shows
Right.
up, when I'm talking to women. I teach a class on Sundays to single moms. It shows up, right? And it's hard for me to just stick with this right here, right? If I had to teach a math class, I'm going to find a way to motivate you in that math class because that's naturally what I believe that I was born to do. It just comes out of everything I do, just about. It just sort of comes out naturally. I believe that it's important and to get a sense of what your purpose is.
And as you had to do your kids, my dogs are going crazy, which typically doesn't happen when I'm doing the main stage with Inspire. But the dog is going crazy, and
It's like,
that's life. So hopefully my son will calm him down. Something. So apologize for that. But you mentioned purpose, and you know what, Malika, a lot of people want to get to that point, but they have some stumbling blocks. They have, and a lot of times what I've come to see, experience, even in my own life, my thoughts kind of dominate and take me, even though I might know or kind of have an idea of what my purpose should be, my
mhm,
thoughts kind of dominate and take me a different direction.
absolutely.
How do get back on track with what you truly should be doing in life? And one of the things you mentioned was writing it down, but how do you really get your mind to focus on what your purpose should be, and what would you suggest that we do with when we have a purpose, but we don't, where our thoughts are dominating to go the other direction?
Well, again, writing it down is helpful so you can go back to it and see it when doubt comes to mind. But the second thing is, I think it's really important to connect yourself with folks who will remind you, right? So I have maybe 3 people that I talk to on a regular that will, they will give you the hard truth, right? I have a friend they give you hard truth, right? Stop, stop the games. They let you talk, they let you say these things, and after a while they get, okay, are you done? Okay. Now, which good and well who you are. We've had this conversation. Fruit comes out of you when you do this. And those are the kinds of people that I connect with, who help me when I'm thinking, when my thoughts are not aligned with what I know I can do. And I think that that's something, let me be honest with you. What I wrote, what is posted on the website and what I post daily, give or take on the weekends, but daily, try to post something motivational that's fresh from within. And then I have to go about my day. And
Mhm.
it doesn't, just because I post and try to motivate and inspire people, it doesn't mean that by 12 noon, I'm not feeling discouraged about something. or my thoughts and what I posted are clashing, right? There's dissonance there. So I constantly have to remind myself. I have to talk to myself and remind myself of who I am and what I have and what I can do. Doesn't mean I'm going to act by 12:30, but
Right.
it does mean that I am slowing down that negative thought, that thinking before it gets too lodged into my mind and impacts my actions.
Phenomenal. That's incredible. Love to hear that. And I guess we're kindred spirits in in that sense because I do the same exact thing.
Mhm.
And I'll tell anyone I'm a guy that talks to myself. I talk to myself all the time.
Right.
And if I'm being real, when I put posts inspirational, encouraging, I even
Mhm.
created this whole thing, this platform. My hashtags are be encouraged, stay positive, live inspired, because I needed to motivate and encourage myself.
Right.
Most of my posts are me talking to myself, and then I put it out there, and hopefully it will be a blessing or it'll help somebody else out too. But I'm a lot of times I'm really talking to myself because I'm trying to get myself motivated and encouraged to get going and do something. So I love the fact that you say that, and it doesn't mean that negative thoughts don't come back or you have
Right.
some things that you're going to deal with. But what are you going to do in spite of? In spite of these
Exactly.
things, what are you going to do in spite of? So I love that you mentioned that.
Yes. Yeah, it's tough. I think it's tough for people who are, if you're in a position, or say you position yourself to motivate, to really inspire people, you have to expect that there's going to be opposition, right?
Mm,
To constantly fight. And then it's your own thinking, like your own thoughts, the things that you battle with every day. I mean, I battle with negative thoughts every day. So where some people can just flow and say, I don't care, I'm just going for it. That's not really my thing. But I know that what God put in me is to inspire others, is to keep it 100, be as real as possible with my stories. I've always been somebody who tells my business. I'll
mm,
t- I try to tell my own business, right? So that's one of the ways in which I really started working with women in when I was younger, is telling my story, telling some of the things that I had been through, and it helps you to connect. Women will connect with you when you keep it real, and when they can relate to you, and they can see that you're either on the other side, so you know what it's like, or you're coming out of the other side, and they
sure.
can pull something from you.
That's great. That's great. Now, I want to go back to something you mentioned about writing goals, writing things down,
Mhm.
because you also, in your story, talked about writing a goal to sing the national anthem.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you got to that point to actually doing it. How did you go from saying that that's something I want to do to actually getting there?
So, um, I had heard a message at our church one time by, I might have been our pastor actually, Pastor Jenkins, preached a message, and he referenced goals and doing things before you die or something like that.
Okay.
Much better than what I'm saying now. But anyway, it sparked something in me to jot down some things that I wanted to do, write it down. And one of them was, so this is interesting. So one of them was to um, sing the national anthem at a major sporting event. I still have it written.
Wow.
So years, because I had that book actually. It's like over here somewhere. But what happened was opportunities weren't opening,
Mm,
and and shout out to Jasmine Jenkins. I don't know if she's on, but she might come back to this and check it out. But she inspired me because she doesn't even know this, but she sang the national anthem at an event or at her school or something like that. And I was like, oh, I want to do that, right? So I said, I want to sing the national anthem at a sporting event. I wrote it down, and then it wasn't happening. But what
mm,
we were doing was they were asking me to sing the national anthem or the national anthem at events. So guess what I did? I went back to my goal and I crossed out major
Okay.
and I just said event. So what does that do? That right there sort of minimizes your goal to, well, maybe that's too big. So you're
Hmm.
guessing your goal. So I went back and I changed it because I had already gotten the opportunity to sing at smaller events. It wasn't a big sporting event like I thought. And I was like, okay, well, I did sing it. Okay. Something inside me said, start learning the words. I wrote out the words. And when I would wash dishes, I would put the words up on the window in front of me and I would practice. I would
Wow.
practice the note that I should start because it ends high. I mean, I was really practicing like where should I begin so I could start end strong. I was practicing the where I wanted everything to be right. And my husband saw this advertisement for the Oak Say Can You Sing contest for a Pirates game. You sing the national anthem at a Pirates game, and that was it. Here we go again with you have a goal. I already told you I kind of minimized it. I was like, well, it maybe it's no. You had a goal. You wrote it down. You believed that you could do it. But when it didn't happen right when you thought it was going to happen or in your timing, and then you get a little inkling of the goal, but it wasn't quite what you said, you think, okay,
Wow.
got down there, we went down. Well, he told me about it and I second guessed it. I was like, I've already sung. No, he kept pushing. He kept pushing. So we went down there, got into a big fight. We were fighting, we were arguing, like nobody's talking. But it was like an American Idol experience, Kirk. And you had to go into a room, you had to sing the song, they critiqued you, and then you had to go on the main stage, went to the next level, the whole nine. And bottom line was I competed for that song to the point where there were three of us, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but three of us were left, and they would not just give it to one person, they gave it to all three. But all three of us left there with a game schedule to sing
Wow.
the national anthem, and I sang it in front of 40,000 people.
Wow.
It was packed out, 40,000 people um, down in Pittsburgh for at a Pirates game.
That's incredible. That is
It's
incredible.
awesome.
And also, there's so much stuff just in that one story that we can unpack. We obviously don't have time to do it now, but there is so much in that. I mean, even from the standpoint of minimizing the goal to fit what you had already done, and
Right.
even on this platform, many times before that sometimes we do minimize it, but
Yep.
God has something so much greater.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we can see it, but then we's like, well, I don't know if I can get it, but I can do this.
Yeah. I'm kind
You
of scared. No, that's kind of big. What was I thinking? That's it
yeah.
happened, and it happened bigger than I thought it would.
And and then even from having you mentioned having those cheerleaders or those people in your inner circles, what we call it, that is
Yep.
going to challenge you, that's going to push you in a positive way, but they're going to say, hey, you know what? This is what you said you want to do. I'm with you, and I'm not going to let you fail. I'm not going to let you quit. You
Yep,
know, and
accountability is huge in success in your road
it's
to success.
it's huge, and you obviously had that with Theo, and even though y'all got into it, that's what happens in marriage. That's just real life right there.
Crazy.
On the positive road, you get at each other, but you're
Right
moving
in the
forward.
middle, right in the middle of the goal coming to life, it's like, I hate you.
But that's life, and guess what? It got you to where you were supposed to go. You saw that vision, and it came to fruition. So phenomenal. That's awesome. That's so good. And you even became an author in this whole thing. And you continue to be an author. You're writing all kinds of books now. Walking in step with God on purpose.
Yes.
How did that come about?
I remember years ago, my mother used to tell me, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book. You need to write a book." And so I remember we lived on campus at the time. I was the residence director, and the whole idea of writing a book. So I would go in and out, and then my aunt was publishing, And somehow, I don't remember the details, but we just started collaborating and talking through this idea of maybe a 30-day. A lot of times, what people really have a lot to say, but they get really intimidated by the process of writing. And so for me, what was helpful was to create bite-sized stories. I call them bite-sized stories. So a 30-day journal. I truly believe in journaling. Truly believe in writing things down. I just think there's so much life in that. So 30-day journal. Each day we just talked about um, just stories, just things that God brought to my mind. And a lot of people don't know this, but I wrote a book, had it typed up, everything, and then lost it. I lost it.
You lost the book?
It was on a disc. Remember, we used to have discs,
Oh
and
man.
it totally, totally erased. I don't know what happened, deleted. And I remember thinking, I told my husband, I started crying on the couch, and I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not. I said, I'm not gonna finish it because I wrote this book,
Mm.
and it's gone. And he really gave me the pep talk, reminded me of what I said, reminded me of what's in me. And I was walking. I would walk in the mornings in our development, and it was like a routine. And I would talk to God on the way back, and I would get these thoughts. There's a chapter in there about the mongoose, the mongoose, like just things that would come to my mind as I was walking. And that's actually the second book. So those are just things, again, ways to motivate women. Of course, men have read the book, but that was a book that I really wanted to create for women to inspire them. Hence the shoe on the front cover.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm so happy that you are sharing this information with everyone that's watching, everyone that's going to listen to this after this on the Anchor or Spotify podcast, everyone that's going to watch this on YouTube. I'm excited that you're sharing this because what you're really doing for a lot of people out there is saying, if I can do it, you can too. You know,
Oh
and
yes,
the inspirational thing. If I can do these things, then there's no reason for you not to be able to do it too. And I think that helps a lot of people with fear to think that, I can't do it. But if they see
right.
someone like you on the success journey doing it, I think it really helps them decide that, hey, I probably maybe I can. We always want to see that maybe I can rise up with people, and with you sharing this information, sharing your story, your journey, really appreciate it because that's what they're doing. They're getting motivated and encouraged by that.
Yes, thank you, thank you. It's
Yeah.
I think it's so important to keep your story real, right? To we One of the things we get out of, not one, but we get so much out of social media, and a lot of times you get the positives, um,
Mhm.
and but like, what's really happening? What's the story? How'd you get here? And I think that's so important.
I do too. And you actually do the same thing for some people with, I see the pivot on your shirt, with
Yes.
the Pivot Podcast. You're like at number 28. And right, am I episode 28 or 29? I think that's where you are right now.
Episode 20, yes, episode 28. I haven't interviewed. I've been taking a break from interviewing and lining up some interviews here starting soon, actually. But yeah, we've been working. I started the podcast in January. It's something that I've been working with a girlfriend of mine. We were talking about some future endeavors for me, and that was one of them, was starting this podcast. And initially, if you listen to episodes 1 through 8. And then 1 through 8 is called the Chatterbox. And then I began to really think through, after listening to a webinar, really think through, what does that mean? Am I just doing
Mhm.
talking? And so really became more focused and start praying about the idea of what am I, kind of, are you the expert, and what do you know about,
Right.
and that's where Pivot was born. And I've enjoyed, we've had women, just women from Paris, women in Paris. I had
Wow.
Rogers spoke, she's in Paris. We have two women from Nigeria who have presented, and actually the one of them is a fashion designer, is making my masks for the Pivot podcast. They'll be
Oh,
coming.
nice.
Yeah, just making these connections with women. And so I think it's really important, that that I go back to what I enjoy, which I think I told you earlier with radio.
Yeah.
So casting gives me that opportunity to get my voice out there, but also to pull other women in there so that we can learn about what folks are doing. So I have like I have read articles and then reached out to people based on the article.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like Forbes magazine, read articles about pivoting, reached out to these women. They were like, absolutely, I'd love to be on the show. So some of these women are women I don't know. I just referred or read articles and just went down the list and said, I'm going to email all 10 of these, and 3 or 4 have reached out. So it's work, but I love it. I love giving women the opportunity to share their story.
That's incredible. Again, you're just doing it all over the place. Pivot podcast. I mean, again, you are helping inspire other people that, with COVID-19, we have to pivot. And I say that all the time, by the way, because I stole it from your shirt. So I say pivot all the time. That's exactly what we had to do. I had to do. I had to change the pivot, adjust. And
Right.
you are sharing something that a lot of people should be inspired by and encouraged by, because even in the way that you approach the Pivot podcast, going and reading articles, reaching out to people that you don't even know, and just inviting them, just connecting that way. You've had some phenomenal people come on the show that you didn't even know. I think a lot of people can relate to that and could be encouraged and inspired to do the same thing or something in their lane similar, because they are seeing and hearing that that's what you did, and you're in the success journey with that, and I commend you for that. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? I'm learning, Kirk, and I want to say this to anyone who is out there. I'm learning not to live in fear. I'm
Mhm.
learning that, right? Because you can keep saying I'm afraid. So what if I reach out to these women in an article and they think I'm crazy? Well, then the next person. I mean, my husband always says, all they can say is no, right? You still have
Right.
got to ask. And so we've got to learn how to live in this boldness. There's a little bit of fear there, but get past the fear and move in boldness, and the doors begin to open. I'm telling you, doors open. I talk to women now. I connect with women in New York City. I don't know them, but we've connected because of the podcast. I try to encourage what they're doing and just stay connected.
That's great. And again, that is something that's encouraging and inspiring to me. Even doing this, platform. Again, I told you I was inspired by what you started doing, and that was one of the big reasons why I decided to jump out and do this. I know what God was telling me that I can do. I've had this Live Inspired thing for years that I sat on.
Wow.
I've had it for years.
Wow.
I think I sat on Live Inspire for probably 10 years, and I'm just now really starting to get to it. But
Mhm.
I don't necessarily know if it was fear or if I just was passive.
Okay,
But you
that's
know,
fair.
yeah. But you know what? I looked at your how you started. I looked at what you were doing. I was like, you know what? Malika can do it. I think I can do something. I got a little bit of motivation, encouragement inside of me, and that's I kind of started with the books. I started doing book reviews and wanted to do that, but it
Good.
really motivated me when I saw that you were doing the podcast. So really, you're inspiring, yes, women, but you're inspiring some men too, and I'm one of them. So thank you
Oh,
for that.
thank you. Yes.
So how can people get in touch with you? I know you're a motivational speaker. We want people to get in touch with you. We want people to read your book. And then before we leave, we got to talk about the ladybug. I know you have the ladybug up there, and I mentioned it. So don't forget the ladybug. Well, how can we get in touch with you? How can people get in touch with you? I'll just leave it at that. How do we get in touch with you?
Well, you know what? I'm on Instagram. A lot of people now are starting to message me. That's People are starting to reach out through messaging me. So Dr. Malaika Turner is my page. I'm also Pivot. There are many pivots out there, Pivot Podcast, but check out this logo and this Pivot Instagram page. And and we didn't really talk about the speaker, and that's fine, but that's another page. But the Dr. Malaika Turner, um, Malaika, that's a lot of times people are me. My email is drmalikaturner@gmail.com. And so I'm definitely just readily available. I love to come on, do Zooms. I can share more about what I do. But that's probably the best way. I'm always on Instagram.
Always on this.
I'm a
Always.
visual person, so I'm always. And you can. I mean, I'm on Facebook as well. I'm on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just make sure that I put this up here because I want people to see. And this is the Instagram, right?
Yes, yes,
This is
yes.
one of them. Okay, so you guys can see this is her Instagram, and she has all kinds of cool, fun, motivational, inspirational messages on her Instagram. And I do want to mention, we have a little bit of time. I do want to mention the Speak Her because I think that's really cool. And there's a picture of you with it, with that shirt on, the Speak Her. So kind of talk to us a little bit about what that is and what your goal is with Speak Her.
Sure. It's a bold goal. It's a bold goal, but I'm gonna share
Okay,
it anyway because the more you share it, the more accountable you are to yourself. But
sure.
my goal is that in a few years or so, I really want to be able to retire from my 9 to 5 and work for me. And the Speaker is that business that I started, Speaker LLC, and it's really me doing workshops with women or anyone doing one-on-one training or coaching to improve public speaking skills, confidence,
Mm,
the ability. A lot of us, and I've even some workshops on social media and working with Zoom and facilitating meetings. So there are a lot of women out there who, when I would go and present at various conferences or workshops, would come up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, like how do you do that? You know, how do you?" And and again, it's not something I had to work at, and I say that humbly. It's a gift that I enjoy. The gift is I enjoy doing it. That's the
okay,
gift. It's not the gift is not me speaking. The gift is I enjoy presenting information to people. I get nervous. I get the
sure.
same flies everybody else gets. But once I get up there, I feel like it's an opportunity to just go for it. And I love that feeling. So so I worked with a friend of mine and Dr. Sharita Weatherspoon, who worked with me, and we really just put this together. And the Speaker is that's the business. That's it. That's the I'm working for me, training, coaching, and assisting and improving public speaking skills, presentation skills, confidence, and communication. And so that's what the Speaker is.
Fantastic. That's great. And have you already launched the speaker? Is it something that's in the process, or do you have you set a goal of when it's going to go full blown up?
Yeah, I have not set the goal of going full blown. Actually, it's an LLC. It is moving forward, and I am now working with doing like some workshops. So I have a workshop that I do for like I probably have the next 4 weeks left with a group of women in the Pittsburgh area that I'm working with. And that's a little bit of that's a mix of a couple of different topics there. But for the most part, stay tuned because we're going to be moving towards really pulling in some folks. I'm going to be doing a webinar and then really working with folks on and honing in on some one-on-one training, some one-on-one Zooms to really help clients with their presentation.
Great. I'd love to hear that. And please keep in mind, I know I'm not a woman, but I would love to be, if not involved, just informed about what you
Sure,
guys are doing
sure.
because you're over there, but there are a ton of women in my life and in this Vegas area that could use what you're talking about, what you're doing. And I'd love to be a connector in that
Yes,
area. possible, if that's the way we can do it, I'd love to do that.
Sure. I will be in touch, Kirk. That you know I will be.
Good, good. So before
Yes.
we get out of here, I do want to ask you. I see the ladybug. I mentioned the ladybug. My daughter Jasmine said, if hopefully she's not watching this, but she had a crazy thing about ladybugs. Like, one time she had a bunch of ladybugs in her bedroom. It was just infested. You know, back in IUP, it was just infested. Her I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, her bedroom was a
Yes.
ladybug. So when I saw that on there, I was like, I gotta ask you, what's up with the ladybug? Well, how did, did that come about?
Okay, quick story. So I had a ladybug infestation, and I had these. I was a residence director, and one I just had ladybugs all over my window. It was disgusting, right? I was like, oh my gosh, like these ladybugs are gross. And so I remember Sister Lael Jenkins, who our pastor's wife, you know Lael.
Yeah.
Came over one time, she saw it, and so it wasn't as a joke, but it was just cute. It was like it was kind of like a joke, but it was kind of I don't even think she knew what she was doing, but she brought me this little ceramic ladybug. It was so cute, and I started from there. I started collecting ladybugs.
Oh wow.
That gross window, that infested window with ladybugs, which I did get rid of them. I did, can't live with those. But she was the first one who gave me the ceramic ladybug, and from
uh,
you know on, I started collecting. Every people I have ladybug band-aids, ladybug necklace, ladybug.
really?
Yes, because I love red. I love the color red, red and black. Um, so that was the start, and I have it's all boxed up because it was in my old office. I have all these ladybug. You couldn't even imagine socks, everything, right? And
Yeah.
so when we created the website, I wanted something that symbolized me or that was unique that people would remember. And my the creator's good HD, that's my cousin. He created the logo and creates most of my logos actually for everything that I do. He created this one and the speaker, and he did the website. We came up with the ladybug, and we looked it up, and there was one definition about motivation. Like this, it symbolized this. It's something about motivation or inspiration, and I was like, I'm sold.
There
So
it is.
we've used the ladybug um, specifically for the website. At the time when I did the website, I really was using the message of motivation that moves. My goal was to motivate, and my motivation was to move you into the direction and to do the things that you are born to do.
Sure.
So that's the ladybug. That's the
That, that's, that's the ladybug. Okay. Well, that's great. Man,
ladybug.
I was I just remember when I saw that, it made me think of Jasmine, and she had the same experience with the ladybugs infestation all over. So I wanted to ask you about that, but yeah, that's great motivation, and I think you mentioned motivation is something that's who you are.
That's
That's
who I am.
who you are. That's the purpose that you are here. You are here to motivate, and
Exactly.
it's wonderful that you know that you are here to do that. And we are all blessed because of that, because of your obedience to being the motivator that you are. So again, kudos to you. Thank you for being the motivator, and educator, encourager, inspirational person that you are. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So with that, thank you again. And everyone, I want you guys, if you're looking for a motivational speaker, if you're looking to, for women, if you want to be encouraged, if you want to have a great daily devotional type of book, Dr. Malaika Turner has done it. She is that person that you need to be in touch with. Get in touch with her. She's on Instagram. Has a Pivot podcast. She has her website, drmalikaturner.com. Get involved with her. You know, everyone, just be a part of what she's doing. She's going to be a phenomenal person in your life. She's already been a blessing to my life and to my family's life. She'll do the same thing for you and your company, your business. She's exceptional, and we're so thankful that you joined the main stage. Thank you so much, Malika. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much. Everyone be blessed.
Yes, and with that said, we always end by just encouraging you. Be encouraged. Life is good, even though when you're going through something, it doesn't feel good, but it is good. So just be encouraged that you are on the right path. Stay positive because a negative attitude, negative mindset will never get you to your goal where you want to be. Stay positive, and last but not least, always live inspired. You are encouraging and you are an inspiration to the generation that's following you, and by your inspiration, they are going to be better off, and you are too. So, with that said, thank you guys for joining the Live Inspired Today main stage, episode 10. That's a wrap. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on Live Inspired. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Kurt.